We have trespassers that are refusing to leave.
I'm a student. I'm a student.
You're trespassing.
Well, they are trespassing. I'm a student.
Okay,
I'll show you my student ID. Yeah, but I'm not giving it out of my hands. You can look at it from a distance. If these guys have their encampment, and as a student, I have every right, because we're protected by CUPE, we're protected by Fred Hahn, we're protected by Amnesty International, we're protected. So every right that you have, we have the same rights.
David Menzies for Rebel News here at the University of Toronto. And you know what, folks? To paraphrase the late great author George Orwell, all illegal encampments are equal. Some, however, are more equal than others. Case in point, to the north of me is Little Gaza. That's been here for more than a month. We don't know how many people are in those tents, but tents were erected. People are here. They're breaking some 11 sections of the Trespass Act. It's been completely tolerated, and this festering tent city continues to drone on into the summertime. And you know, today commencement ceremonies begin. What a backdrop. However, my guest here is Joshua Samuels, and he was here yesterday to put up his own little illegal encampment right in that neutral zone area towards the behind me. And guess what, folks? It was immediately shut down. So Joshua, take us back 24 hours ago. You came here, your encampment was to make a pro-Israel, pro-Jewish statement, and suddenly the special constables descended en masse. What happened?
Well, you know what? As a University of Toronto student, this is my third degree here. I've spent a lot of time on campus. It's my home. And so I was making a very symbolic gesture, an encampment to stand in solidarity with the hostages, an encampment to stand against anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, an encampment to say no to hate. And we as U of T students belong here. We belong, our voices matter, and we don't need to be afraid. We can stand our ground. And so what better idea than to join in this great movement with our own tent, with our own Canadian and Israeli flags, in solidarity with all those students who are negatively impacted. And we went in, we did our best. We set up several tents, our sound system, our loudspeakers, because of course, as a student, I have a message, not just for the campus, but for the administration and the leadership, in particular Mary Gertler. And for that reason, I believed that I was exercising my free speech rights, my protected rights as a student. After all, Fred Hahn, CUPE, Ontario Federation of Labour, I believe even Amnesty International said that we will be your human shields. And all student protests, all encampments at King's College Circle are protected. So, you know what, with that invitation, really, I thought I was going to receive equal treatment, but apparently I was carrying the wrong flag.
You call Toronto Police and have 52 cars attend. We're having an issue here on the South Lawn. We have trespassers that are refusing to leave.
I'm a student. I'm a student.
You're trespassing.
Well, they are trespassing? No. The CUPE said, no.
Staff sergeant as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. Well, you guys need to get re-educated. You'll bend over for the money, right? Re-education.
I'm a student. I'll show you my student ID. Yeah, but I'm not giving it out of my hands. You can look at it from a distance. This is a U of T student. I'm a PhD student. I'm here. I belong. And
we'll have this conversation the other side of the fence.
When I'm done. This is protected. We're already here.
No, you're not already here. You're not setting up in here.
So if these guys have their encampment, and as a student, I have every right, because we're protected by CUPE, we're protected by Fred Hahn, we're protected by Amnesty International, we're protected. So every right that you have, we have the same rights.
Even the camp, you want to steal it, you idiot, bro?
No, I'm not stealing your things.
What are your demands? Okay, stay here.
What are your demands of the encampment?
We're just divest, disclose.
Divest the what?
Sir, that's my property. Please give me that back. I have my medical, my medicine is in there. Don't touch it. It's my medicine. Let me take that stuff out. My things are in there.
You can have it.
had gone in and set up fairly quickly, so we were already established. There was an officer who came to the fence. Now, when I say officer, I really mean campus special constable, which is not the same as the Toronto police. We need to keep these absolutely separate.
Yes.
This kind person warned me about the trespassing, and I said, "Excuse me, I'm a student. I'm here to engage in my protected campus speech." He didn't really know what to do. It seemed like it actually registered. It clicked. He got it, and so they backed off, and he went to get additional resources. In that time, we continued to assemble and get ready. But maybe 5 minutes later, 10 minutes, multiple officers had entered. They had created an opening and approached us to basically say, 5 minutes, you're out. You can't set up here.
This double standard, to me, it just gets worse and worse. I mean, how do these special constables justify this two-tier policing?
You know what? It's mind-boggling. It's actually stupefying, and I can't figure it out. The only reasonable explanation I have is that this is discrimination. It's a two-tier policing, unequal application of the law, and to be quite honest, it is reprehensible that our Canadian flag, our Israeli flags were taken. We are peaceful. I said we're nonviolent. We have a message of charity, of kindness, of justice, of righteousness, of peace. What could be more unifying than the Canadian flag at Canada's top university?
As you know, the university on day one, like the University of Calgary did, could have picked up the phone. They could have dialed 911, called in the Toronto Police, which they have to do because this is technically private property. Yes, the public's allowed on it, but it is at the end of the day private property. They won't do it. Why won't they do it?
At the end of the day, I believe the university is enabling this. I believe that there is a tacit approval. Despite what they might issue in press statements, actions speak louder than words. And that's why, as a student, I refuse to be intimidated or silenced. The University of Toronto, by their words and actions, have said, not explicitly, again, this is my perception, so I believe the university is sending the message that this is not only okay, but acceptable. And by refusing to just call in the police to remove it, they are ceding ground to the harassment of Jewish and Zionist students. And by the way, not everyone who is opposed to this encampment or who is negatively impacted by it is Jewish. There are Muslim students, Christian students, there are Hindus and Sikhs. There are so many people, atheists, it doesn't matter. Israel is, during the month of June, the foremost protector and guarantee of free speech rights and the expression of gender identity and sexual orientation. LGBTQ plus is welcome in Israel. And so it's just ironic that such a bigoted, homophobic, and exclusionary message is coming out of the most inclusive university in Canada.
Pertaining to the double standard, your case, this is the statement they sent along to me. Quote, "The university respects our members' rights to assemble and protest within the limits of U of T policies and the law. The entire fenced-in area of King's College Circle, however, remains off limits to people and structures and subject to a trespass order. A counter-protest Sunday involving a potential second encampment in the previously unoccupied fenced-in area on the south end of the circle was on a scale that campus safety personnel were able to peacefully remove it without the assistance of the Toronto Police Service. Preventing any new encampment is consistent with our goal from the outset to find a resolution to the existing unauthorized encampment on front campus that monopolizes space for prolonged periods of time and unfairly prevents access to a shared use space for all members of our community. For removal of the main encampment Toronto Police Service has made clear it will only act in situations involving an emergency to enforce the law and protect public safety, or act in accordance with a court order which the university is seeking, end quote.
The University of Toronto needs to accept the IRA definition of anti-Semitism, which includes the recognition that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. I call on the university to divest and disclose and to sever ties with any country that provides material support to Hamas and any such terrorist organization. I call also for the university to, at this time, disclose all monies, all partnerships with UAE, Qatar, Turkey, any country that is engaged in a conflict and that puts negative light on Israel or provides support for Hamas. So that's my response. I also want to say that as a University of Toronto student, my rights were truly stepped on. I understand that they have some lines about trespass, but I said very kindly to the police officer, we will gladly leave in an hour or two. Let me just have some dignity as I go about this. I will not even stay overnight, whereas the first group of students were issued a letter allowing them to stay to 8 p.m., give or take. I may be mistaken on the precise details. I was not given the kindness of 15 minutes before my things were removed. In fact, I even said to the officer as he took my bag away, I have medicine in there. What if I needed that? What if there was an emergency, without going into details? I also want to say that as a person who does have a disability, I said to the police officer, I need a bit of time because the pressure you're putting on me here is making it hard for me to fully process. I need some peace before I can respond adequately. And the just in-your-face tactics really violated my status as someone who deserves to be treated under fairness with the Ontario Human Rights Code. I also said to the kind officer who was just trying to do his job, I do like the guy, but I did say to him, you know, if TPS can't remove me, why are you? He said, I have the authority on behalf of the U of T to do that. Later on, he said, well, if you go somewhere else, we will support you, just not here. And I asked for clarification. I said, what if we put our tent just over there peacefully, because there's a lot of women here with arthritis or health conditions, and we just need a place just to sit comfortably with our tents, because they have a lot of R&R leisure tents. It's just a normal thing to have in Toronto in the spring and summer. I was told that if I put a tent anywhere on campus, I would be instantly arrested. A conflict delayed is a conflict multiplied. Merrick Gertler, have some courage. This affects everyone, and the culture of U of T is deteriorating very fast. These are our future doctors, politicians, educators, professors, scientists. If at the University of Toronto it becomes taboo to speak about anti-Semitism and the just gross and awful consequences this has on our multicultural, pluralist society, if you do not exercise this leadership today, the consequences will be much worse. And you know, I also just want to say that I am not a victim. I do not accept the victim mentality, but for every intersectional identity that can be used, we can use the same kind of argument and rationale. So ultimately, every single student needs to recognize that if you have a T card, if you are a student, you belong. No one can take that from you. Do not be afraid. Stand your ground, stand up, and let's take back the narrative. Let's stop giving in to the bigotry, to the real, it's like a KKK in my opinion. I'm a colored, I'm a Namibian by descent, I'm South African, I'm also German with Jewish ancestry. If you told me to go back to Africa, how would the police respond? And yet here they are telling Jewish students and their allies, Zionists and everyone with them, go back to Poland. They're basically saying go back to the gas chambers.
Folks, have you headed up to here with the chants for genocide almost every day in the cities of our great Dominion? And you know, the thing is, a lot of these people, they're not even Canadian citizens. they're foreign visitors, they're international students. If you are a guest in our country and you are openly chanting for genocide, guess what? Time to pack your bags and go. Please go to our petition, deporthamas.com. That's deporthamas.com. Let's take a stand for civilization and a stand against savagery.